Why did the Soviet Union collapse? After all, it was such a strong country. They made delicious ice cream. Sausage was 2 rubles 20 kopecks per kilogram. There was work for everyone, and parasites, those who did not want to work, were re-educated. Apartments were given for free. For children, there were pioneer camps, and for adults, resorts and sanatoriums, where after a year of work you could rest, get treatment, and restore your strength. And again into battle. And here you go. It fell apart. Stop. First, let's deal with the word collapsed. What collapsed? The so-called socialist camp collapsed. I agree with that. East Germany, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, and Yugoslavia, which had never been part of the Soviet Union, went to Europe. Of the former Soviet republics, only Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia broke away. I agree with this, but I ask you to pay attention to this simple fact. Those countries that were annexed to the socialist camp and partly to the Soviet Union after 1939 went to Europe. This looks more like the fulfillment of some preliminary agreements rather than a spontaneous collapse of the Soviet Union. The territories captured by the Soviet Union before the end of 1939 remained part of the Union state. These are Karelia, the western regions of Belarus, Ukraine, and Bessarabia. What do people mean when they talk about the collapse of the Soviet Union, where they lived so well? Why do they remember mainly bread, sausage, and ice cream, as if other signs of good or bad simply do not exist? Here it is important to correctly understand the chain of cause and effect, to correctly understand the logic of events that have already happened before our eyes. Because we may never know the details of the preliminary agreements. Most likely, what happened in the Union in 1991 was a consequence of the agreements of Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt in Yalta in 1945. In other words, the liquidation of the Soviet Union was predetermined in advance. It was supposed to disappear from the political map of the world 45 years after the end of World War II. The Soviet Union was an empire. An empire consists of a metropolis, living off colonial territories, and the colonies themselves. Without its colonies, the metropolis cannot exist, and therefore the entire empire cannot exist. As a result of the Second World War, Moscow, as the metropolis of the Russian Empire, received the countries of the former socialist camp into its possession. But not forever, only for 45 years. In 1990, the time of life of the socialist camp ended. Moscow lost a whole list of its colonies, which fed it through the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, CMEA, and the train of collapse started moving. Let me remind you, the Soviet Union was a nuclear country, and it could not just fall apart. And it cannot. It had the opportunity to defend the integrity of the socialist camp, but it did not do so. The Soviet government calmly and without a single shot withdrew its troops from the so-called Allied states of Europe, and the socialist camp ceased to exist. But the Soviet Union remained. It simply changed its name and forms of organization. But I will tell you about this next time.